WebProdigyResource. Today what we're going to be teaching you is when you become a freelance designer, what you're going to need to know on your end. Not so much your client's end, but what you can do to cover your back so you can have a successful contract and everything will work out between you and your client, and you cover your end in case there are some mishaps you may have or differences you may have with your client. So what we're going to talk about first is contracts. And as a freelance designer, you should know that every project you do should be backed by a project contract. You can see how we have that right here. I'm not going to go too much in detail. You can read the write-up, but basically what that means is, let's say you are a graphic designer and decide to design a logo for someone. What you're going to need is a contract stating exactly what the client wants, exactly what you as the designer are going to give them, and how much you're charging them, if you're charging rate per hour or by project. And you want everything to be in the write-up. You want all the details, descriptions, so that the client can't back out of their purchase. Ultimately, as a freelance designer, you should be the one getting paid. You're making you can make some pretty serious money doing this. A lot of people live off of freelance work, so you want to make sure you're really covered in the back end, and you really want to be as professional as possible with excruciating detail. So we're going to go over contracts. Okay, so as I mentioned before, there are two different ways the designer can get paid from your client. The first way is rate per hour, which a lot of designers prefer. Let's say that you have a client and your client has a website or has something, just needs a little tweaking to his or her site or his or her logo. We would recommend that if it were a smaller project, you would charge by the hour. I mean, you definitely could charge by the project contract, but it would be a little easier and a little more in your interest, honestly, to charge by the hour. What may seem to be, a little project may actually turn into a larger project. You never know if a customer, starts with something and, ends up wanting something else. You have no idea, because that's usually the case in graphic design or web design. So an hourly rate, it can be beneficial to you as well as, the client, because the client doesn't know if they want a long-term commitment, and it really, is appealing to them. The second way you can charge is for, with a big contract and just by project. You can honestly just sit down, give a price quote, and literally just, depending on what they need, charge them a decent amount of money. I mean, if they would like a lot of graphic design work or even like a full website, this would be recommended. Websites are very in detail, would take a lot of time, and that's when we would recommend you would switch from hourly rate and more so go over to a project group rate, I guess you would say, or just one big hefty rate. So that's what most people do, and those are the two different ways you guys can create contracts. If you scroll down, one big key to getting this may be sound a little off topic, but I'm going to try and cover every single section. The main key to getting clients, keeping clients, and really pushing over the edge is building an online portfolio. Having a website, whether you do a content management system like WordPress, Drupal, or Joomla, or even designing it yourself in Dreamweaver like this website teaches you how to do, it is a huge, huge deal that you have an online presence, maybe with some of your work present, even if it's just one piece of work, or even if it's, coming soon page, you do it on your spare time, because everyone has day jobs. It's important that you get something up so the client can really go somewhere, see your work, decide if they like you or not, decide if you have the skills and the tools necessary to do what they're looking for. Most clients, honestly, wouldn't even look to see if you have something up, but knowing that you have something up really is a plus. I mean, you wouldn't go hire a plumber if they didn't have any plumbing experience, or an electrician if you're not sure if they've even worked with certain electric household items before, so you really want to keep that in mind. Even as a graphic designer, even if you don't know too much about the web, I would definitely suggest learning. Even uh, having a portfolio online can be useful for more than one reasons, as well as your online presence. So not only that, it'll teach you something new and really keep your client, you know, impressed and keep you on the brink of becoming, a professional and staying there. One of the biggest things you find online is most designers that when they start out, they really don't know what to charge or what what the worth of their work is. One thing I would suggest keeping in mind is that you are a professional, and if they expect professional work, they should expect a professional price. That's probably the best way I can put it honestly, and you shouldn't be afraid to throw out numbers, especially after you take a decent look into what they need done and really, really charge what you're worth. I mean, you can look up things online, you can really search for many different what people charge. We do have a little pricing guide down here, and that honestly is just a ballpark. It's really, really, really simple. It's really basic, but it really shows like what your work can be worth. I mean, this is really like what you're doing is hard work. What you're doing requires a special skill set, and you shouldn't be afraid to charge what it's worth. Really, I mean, people will understand. Some people might think it's outrageous or ludicrous, but ultimately, at the end of the day, they're gonna need the website or they're gonna need that work done. So you really, if you know your work is good, don't be afraid to speak up. Don't be afraid to say something, and you know that what you're getting is what you're worth. You need to make a living as well, so keep that in mind. Right here, we have for you guys a web designer contract. You can just click and download. It is a PDF, so you can just print it out and you can just write down the details of your work. I mean, we provide everything for you right here. So, keep in mind if you do have a small project, we give full access to this contract. It's free. Use it, take it. You can even edit it, do whatever you have to do with it. Honestly, because we're just trying to look out for the best interest of you. So overall, those are a couple things you can do. Make sure, at the end of the day, you want to be a professional just like the client expects you to be. So, those are a couple things you can stay on top of your game, and you don't get, too thrown off when your first customer comes along and they want to hire you right on the spot, and you don't even have a contract ready, and you're running around doing things. So, if you know you're going to be doing some work, I would suggest definitely working on an online presence. A contract template where you can just come here, you can download one, and giving yourself a couple of test run-throughs, talking to clients, even if it's talking in the mirror, definitely really getting ready to tell them what your work is worth and what you honestly expect to get paid from this job. Another tip we would say is don't be afraid to say no. A lot of work that you want to do or you want to take on, maybe out of your skill set, may be unfamiliar to you. Just remember, the client does expect a professional. So if you are not ready to give 110% on the project, please say no, because your work will reflect that 110%. And you never know, an unsatisfactory customer is really the last thing you want, and you might not even ever hear from them again. So that's definitely another big point. But yeah, stay on top of your game, and definitely you'll become a pro soon enough. Thanks, guys. Please let me know if anything could be tweaked, or if you liked it, if you didn't like it. If there's something you think I missed, I could definitely always redo these videos. There's nothing a problem with it. Just looking out for your guys' best interests. Also, shout out to fan of the week, Kesh Dominguez.